We continue our discussion with frequency distributions. We'll discuss cumulative frequency distributions, where we are taking the total from the previous class and adding it towards the new class. We'll also first start to talk about what normal distributions look like, and hopefully we're going to be working with normal distributions more often than not when we're dealing with sets of data. Let's first begin by talking about relative frequency distribution. Those are variations on the basic frequency distribution table. In relative frequency distributions, we replace the actual frequencies by either a proportion, some sort of decimal possibly, if we're looking for relative frequency, or we'll replace it with a percentage if we're looking for percentage frequency. The key thing to remember when you're dealing with relative frequency is that the sum of your relative frequencies have to be close to 1. They can't be over 1, but they have to be close to 1 or exactly 1. The only time they would be less than 1 is if you're taking out some data like outliers that are going to affect the skew of your distribution. In terms of percentages, as like most things are, all of your percentages have to add up to or come close to 100%. Same reasons apply. The differences between the cumulative frequency distribution and the frequency distribution are simply that we're just adding along the way. You've seen the example of the frequency distribution on the left. We talked about that in the first lesson in Chapter 2. The cumulative frequency distribution is we're going to change the pulse rate classes. We're not changing the classes as much as we are just changing the words. We start out with less than 70, and that's the first frequency. But then we'll start with less than 80, and remember that includes the 60 to 69 class and the 70 to 79 class. So now we're going to have 26 as my cumulative frequency. So on and so forth as you go up through cumulative frequencies. We don't talk about low class and high class limits as much with the cumulative frequency distribution because of the fact that we've changed to a description for the class. This is stuff that you've seen in integrated algebra. We're obviously taking it up a level because it's now the college course. The last thing we discuss is interpreting frequency distributions. When we interpret, we want to take a look at how the data behaves. We want to know how it varies throughout. And the one distribution that we'll talk about right from the get-go is normal distribution. You don't have to look at a curve to know if it's normal distribution or not. You can take a look at the frequencies in the frequency table. If the frequencies start low, raise up to a maximum number of frequencies in the middle of the data, and then decrease back down to low frequency again, you have normal distribution. You want most of your data to be around the center. Your homework in this section is going to be textbook pages 52 and 53, numbers 2, 3, and 9 through 14.